Welcome back to another episode of Political Pulse. I'm Daniel Cordova.
And I'm Chloe Fadum. Let's get right into it.
President Donald Trump is facing bipartisan backlash over a video posted on Truth Social this morning. The video depicts former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes and is set to the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight." The video was deleted shortly after being uploaded due to criticism from the public and his own party, deeming the post to be racist. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt dismissed concerns and says, quote, "Please stop the fake outrage and report on something that actually matters to the American public."
In anticipation for the Olympic opening ceremony in Milan, hundreds of protesters are taking to the streets to protest the presence of U.S. ICE agents.
ICE
does not and will never carry out police operations on our national territory.
Many protesters are holding signs protesting not only ICE but also Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who are both in Milan. The U.S. State Department announced last week that several agencies, including ICE, would be at the Olympics to protect American athletes and visitors.
Somerville's new mayor is focusing on housing and government transparency as his top priorities. Mayor Jake Wilson was sworn in last month after winning the November election in Somerville, Massachusetts. Wilson's administration said they will expand public access to City Hall with weekly office hours and a new public liaison role. Wilson also plans to address the region's housing crisis by building more homes near transit stations and pushing for more affordable family-sized units.
Former Gloucester police officer Alexander Aiello has been sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for the possession of child sexual abuse material. More than 200 files containing explicit content of minors were discovered on a USB drive recovered from Aiello's home. Aiello pleaded guilty in court to 1-count possession of child pornography. He will serve 4 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release.
A massive government benefits fraud scheme in Massachusetts used more than 100 stolen identities, according to federal prosecutors. Officials say more than $1 million in SNAP and pandemic-era benefits were stolen. 4 people now face criminal charges in connection with the multi-state investigation. One suspect used fraudulent benefits to buy food for his restaurant and then sold it to customers. The investigation remains ongoing.
Massachusetts Secretary of State William Galvin announced that he will be seeking re-election this coming fall. Galvin is the longest-serving Secretary of State, having served for 8 terms already and looking to add a 9th. Galvin said his decision was largely motivated by concerns over President Trump's handling of federal election interference. He said he hopes to extend his time in office until 2030.
After this break, we talk to national news and hear from our business correspondent.
Stick with us.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner!
Go. Excellent. Cypress. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. We're the family. Help out. Yeah! Oh, I thought you were on my team. Wait.
Welcome back to Political Pulse.
President Donald Trump signed a bill to reopen the government, ending a partial shutdown that started last weekend.
For some reason, many of the House Democrats wanted to shut the government down again and inflict pain on the American people. But I'm glad to tell you, I'm happy to report, Republicans got the job done, our majority worked together, and we got the bills over the line.
The spending package restarts major federal agencies and temporarily funds the Department of Homeland Security through the end of next week. Lawmakers passed the measure in a close House vote after intense negotiations over immigration enforcement. Congress now has about 10 days to reach a longer-term deal or face another funding deadline.
A deal is now reached between victims of Jeffrey Epstein and the Department of Justice to protect the identities of women in the Epstein files.
I'm not surprised that Trump is ready to move on and that this DOJ is ready to move on, but we are certainly not, especially after we saw how poorly this last release of documents was handled.
Nearly 100 women whose names were released among documents last week will be protected. New York Attorney Jay Clayton has said that the Justice Department has since taken down nearly all materials that revealed the names and personal information of these victims. For more on business news, we go to our business correspondent, Olivia Flans.
The World Economic Forum is investigating its own CEO and president, Berg Brenda, over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Newly released trial documents reveal Brenda's name, contradicting his past denial of any contact with Epstein. Brenda now admits he knew Epstein, but says he was completely unaware of Epstein's past and criminal record. The World Economic Forum confirmed Brenda's attended 3 business dinners with Epstein and exchanged follow-up emails and text messages. The organization says Brenda will remain CEO and president during the investigation, but has no involvement in the review process. Investigators have uncovered hundreds of accounts potentially linked to Nazis at Swiss lender Credit Suisse. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley announced the findings ahead of a hearing to examine the bank's role in the Holocaust. The Union Bank of Switzerland, which now owns Credit Suisse, apologized for the Nazi accounts controversy back in 1999. But the recent investigation reveals Credit Suisse's ties ran far deeper than anyone knew. Nazi paramilitary organization SS maintained an account long after that date. Union Bank of Switzerland has apologized again and pledged to continue investigating Credit Suisse's records. The Senate Judiciary Committee expects to release a final report by the end of this year. Bitcoin has tumbled below $80,000, dropping as low as $74,500 after President Trump confirmed Kevin Warsh was the chair of the Federal Reserve. The announcement triggered a wave of selling across crypto markets and sparked more than $2.5 billion in forced liquidations. Markets expect Warsh to raise interest rates, pushing investors away from risky assets like Bitcoin. The sell-off isn't limited to crypto. Stocks, gold, and silver are all under pressure. That's all I have today for business news. Back to you two at the desk.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says all federal immigration officers in Minneapolis will now wear body cameras.
They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening.
The move comes after 2 U.S. citizens were shot and killed during immigration enforcement operations in the city. Officials say the body camera program will expand as nationwide funding becomes available. The Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into one of the shootings as calls for accountability continue.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro attended a meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House this week.
Somehow after the Venezuelan raid, he became very nice. He changed his attitude very much. So, I look forward to seeing him. He's coming in. We're going to be talking about drugs because tremendous amounts of drugs come out of his country.
Petro has been active in speaking out against Trump in his mockery of Colombia throughout his presidency. Although tensions were high going in, the two presidents seemed to be on good terms at the end of their 2-hour meeting. Coming up, we talk international news.
Stick with us.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Soccer's fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. Help out! Yeah! Oh, I thought you were on my team. Wait,
Welcome back. President Trump says talks with Iran are continuing despite military tensions. The U.S. military says a fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone that approached the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea. The incident comes as both countries signal interest in new negotiation over Iran's nuclear program. Officials say meetings could take place later this week as countries try to push to de-escalate the situation.
President Trump is always wanting to pursue diplomacy first, but obviously it takes two to tango. You need a willing partner to achieve diplomacy.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announces plans to restrict social media for anyone under the age of 16. The plan still needs government approval, but if approved, would make Spain one of the many countries implementing this law in recent months. Australia passed an almost identical law last year, and other countries such as France, Malaysia, and Denmark are currently considering similar social media bans. Spain's ban will be put into a bill as early as next week.
Our international correspondent, Adriana Lamprenou, joins us to talk Gaza, Ukraine, Cuba, and more.
After countless disagreements between Egypt and Israel, the Rafah border reopened on February 2nd. This will allow for Palestinians in Gaza who had fled the area to return. Wounded or sick patients may now leave to receive medical care abroad. The Rafah crossing will be constantly supervised, and only a limited number of people will be able to enter or exit. According to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel forces will be in control of security at the crossing. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum promises to send humanitarian aid to Cuba. This decision comes after President Donald Trump signed an executive order permitting the U.S. to place tariffs on countries sending crude oil to Cuba. Sheinbaum's support for Cuba raised tensions between Mexico and U.S. Further trade negotiations between the two nations will take place in July. Russia attacked on Ukraine late Tuesday night, leaving thousands of citizens without heat as temperatures reached below -4 degrees Fahrenheit. The Russian missiles targeted cities and energy infrastructures, despite agreeing to President Trump's week-long ceasefire proposal because of the extreme weather conditions. The attack, which targeted at least 6 regions, is the largest one of the year so far. That's all for today's international news headlines. Back to you at the desk.
Conservative populist Lara Fernandez has won Costa Rica's presidential election. Results show she secured a first-round victory with about 48% of the votes. Her closest opponent, Alvaro Ramos, won about 33% and has conceded, promising to lead a constructive opposition. Fernandez, who is the hand-picked successor to outgoing President Rodrigo Chavez, says her priority is to strengthen economic growth and help Costa Rica face global challenges.
President Donald Trump announces that he plans to lower tariffs on goods from India from 25% to 18%.
That was a great day. Prime Minister Modi of India, and we have many things to discuss. One of them, and perhaps in our case, one of the biggest ones, is trade. We do a lot of trade together, and we're working on that.
This decision comes after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed to stop buying oil from Russia. Trump also includes that India will reduce its imported taxes on U.S. goods to zero with this deal and buy billions of dollars worth of American products. Modi says that he is looking forward to this partnership. With frigid temperatures and lots of snow, people and animals are looking for warmth in all places. In Providence, Rhode Island, a tegu lizard was discovered buried in the snow in a residential driveway. The lizard was brought inside and quickly transported to a local animal hospital. The lizard is now resting comfortably and warmly at the New England Wildlife Center. Join us next time, and make sure to follow WEBN Political Pulse on Instagram and subscribe to WEBN Boston on YouTube.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.